Right, 26 October 2023, and today I'm back after a few days away. I've been out of the city, traveling on business, and as usual, I would like to look at what is happening in Zimbabwe in terms of the economy. The situation in Zimbabwe is getting to a very, very difficult level, and very, very soon we might see the total collapse of the Zimbabwean currency. We might see the total collapse of the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe as policies, which are disastrous. And the bank is failing to make a difference in the economy of Zimbabwe. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe has been a problem for a very, very long time, even since the days of Gideon Gono. And now we're reaching the point where the Zimbabwe government is considering seizing or taking away US dollars and replacing them with the Zimbabwe dollar. So this is a very, very serious situation which is developing in Zimbabwe, specifically because, as I was saying last week, the Zimbabwe government has ran out of US dollars. And some of the things that are happening is that the Zimbabwe government is failing to pay, for example, farmers. The GMB is failing to pay farmers. They're failing to pay contractors. And they have made policy changes in the past week. For example, they have taken away the exemptions. There used to be exemptions on certain sectors where if you sell your product in Forex, then you would not have to hand over part of your Forex as what is required for the rest of the economy. And this is causing a very, very serious situation. Things are not able to move. And the Zimbabwean economy has reached the point where the banks are now no longer giving loans in US dollars because they are afraid that they will give loans in US dollars. And as has happened in the past, they will then be told to accept Zimbabwe dollars on behalf of the US dollars that they've given to mostly connected people in the economy. So to just sum it up, the situation in Zimbabwe is getting very, very bad. There is a big, big shortage of US dollars. The Zimbabwe government is trying to contain the situation by not paying their bills. So they're not paying contractors, they're not paying farmers, and they're trying to suppress the money supply, but it's not sustainable. So if you look at what is happening to the Zimbabwe dollar, it has crashed on the black market. The Zimbabwe dollar has crashed on the black market. They've tried to introduce the ZIG. They've tried to introduce all these other ways of making people pay, but people are not accepting those ways of paying. And I saw a tweet by Nelson Chamisa last week. Almost probably 95% of transactions in the Zimbabwean economy is now taking place in US dollars. And this is a sign of how bad things have become. The exchange rate right now creeping towards 108,000, probably more than 10,000 within the next month. And the $100 ZWL note is now equivalent to 2 cents. So there's now talk that there should be an introduction of $100,000 note, which will be equivalent to 100 US dollars. So these are some of the things that are being suggested. The situation is very, very bad, and the guys at the Reserve Bank are unable to manage. And the IMF has issued a comment on the Zimbabwe economy. They have advised the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe to stop the quasi-physical activities. These things that you are looking at, things like the ZIG, all these things that the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is trying to do, they are not in finance books. They're not in finance or economics textbooks, but they are damaging the economy because they are a shadow economy. Something is happening at the back that does not make sense. Like I told you, you can't say you've got 320 kgs of gold in ZIG and people don't even know what 300 kgs of gold is. That is an extreme amount of gold. And the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe makes all these strange decisions. We're on the verge of seeing a collapse here. And the only way to go is for the Zimbabwe politicians to make a decision to go into dialogue. President Mnangagwa is unable to run the economy. His policies are disastrous. And we'll be looking at the ZANU-PF policy conference. ZANU-PF has got no idea how to run this economy. They need Nelson Chamisa. Nelson Chamisa is the way to solve this economy. I'm talking specifically because there is no confidence in the economy, and the people who are handling the economic ministries, people that are running these ministries, they've got no knowledge of what to do. They do not have the will to make the changes that are necessary. So they need someone like Chamisa to come in there as part of the power sharing arrangement. I've been talking about this for a very, very long time. And we'll be looking at what SADC is doing. There's currently a delegation from the CCC right now, which is SADC. So we'll be giving you an update on what is happening there. And I see Zwana there saying a bag of cement is going for $30. That is even better. I was in Kariba a few months ago, and there was no cement in the whole of Kariba. And this means, imagine if the small places don't have cement, the shortages are going to also come. And the move to the Zimbabwe dollar is imminent. There is no way that the Zimbabwe government can avoid that move because they've run out of dollars. They just don't have the dollars. And the economy is explaining to them that you don't have dollars. So this is the situation. They can try the ZIG, they can try a new policy, they can try this and this. But the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is just not able to do what is right. What is right is to run that economy properly. Have money in the ATM. The day you see yourself with money in the ATM and you stop these things that they're doing at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, which is to try to cover the situation artificially, then the economy will be running. But the problem is they are deep into corruption. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is deep into corruption. They're deep in the black market. Similarly, the Zimbabwe government, the leadership there is not able and capable to make policies that will improve that economy. And we're in a lot of trouble, especially the guys who are in Zimbabwe. If you're working there, your buying power is getting eroded. And very, very soon, they're going to introduce that policy, which says only the Zimbabwe dollar will be allowed. And this is what is destroying everything. Everyone is now starting to stash their cash in the mattresses. No one wants to be made to pay back or to receive back Zimbabwe dollars on behalf of the US dollar. So banks are panicking, industry is panicking, and the banks themselves, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, is not giving proper direction to the market. If you look at the Monetary Policy Committee statement that they published yesterday, you can clearly see that they don't understand their mandate. They don't understand what information to give the market. They are speaking like politicians at the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. And this is where the problem is. If you go to Zambia right now, there are proper banks there. And these banks, they have got cash in the ATMs. I always tell you this because the moment you have cash in your ATM, you now have non-interest income. In Zimbabwe, everything is interest income because your interest is 130%. They've reduced it to 130%. So there's no need to produce. If you're saying your inflation is 0.6% and your interest rate is 170%, what you're saying to people is take your money and put it away and do nothing else. Just put your money in the bank, and that is all. And it's terrible. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe does not have a clue how to stimulate production. What is the impact of credit on production? What is the impact of credit on circulation of money? And what is the impact of compound interest at 170% or 130%? What is the implication on the dollar every month when compound your interest at 130%? you've got astronomical figures coming out in Zimbabwe dollars, and that money is nothing. It's not worth the paper that is printed on. Very, very soon, you're going to have hyperinflation again if you already don't have it. The situation in Zimbabwe, very, very bad, especially because the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is doing so badly. They do not understand how to improve the situation in our country. So Zimbabwe definitely heading for a collapse in terms of the economy, on top of nothing happening, on top of no one wanting to come to invest in the country. Everything that is happening in Zimbabwe is Vic Falls right now. People fly in with their cash, they fly out. They don't spend a cent on your banking sector. As I always say, put a US dollar ATM everywhere and start capturing $2 from every tourist who comes into Zimbabwe. At the end of every year, you can have $40 million coming from that, just from that. But they don't want to do that because this is traceable money. And the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is the godfather of money laundering. That is the problem with the current situation that we have here. Money laundering and players like Tagwire controlling the whole banking sector. So they don't want money to flow properly. So eventually, they'll get to the point where they just run out of dollars and they move to that Zimbabwe dollar and they try to pay you back the money you deposited in dollars. They try to pay it back to you in ZiG or in Zimbabwe dollars, if they still have, because right now they don't have those Zimbabwe dollars. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm very, very tired. I've been traveling the whole week. I just arrived this morning. And we want to look tomorrow at the distraction. The ZANU-PF government is trying to push out a distraction in terms of Sengezo Shabangu. Also, Sengezo Shabangu spoke today. Tomorrow I'm going to come back and I'll unpack what he said. And we see what is it that Sengezo is trying to do. What is the game plan? It's a very, very dangerous game plan. But as I always say, Nelson Chamisa is going to come out on top here. There is no other way. Chamisa is the most popular person in Zimbabwe right now, and people want Chamisa to do well. Unfortunately, I was not able to cover sanctions praise. You say sanctions are caused by mismanagement, governance. ZANU-PF must go, right? So I think we can go back to this debate of sanctions. But at the moment, what I want to say is that everyone is going to feel the pain. It's going to be very, very painful in Zimbabwe. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is just on the verge of saying, we're back to the Zimbabwe dollar. They are going to do it very, very soon. There is no way that they can get the dollars. They are deep in debt. They are creating fake money like the ZiG. They've got so many commitments to so many people who they're not paying. Contractors, farmers, debtors like China, they are in a total fix. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe and the Zimbabwe economy screaming under ED. ED not able to make the necessary move. The problem with ED is he knows how to use intelligence for all these things that they does with singers and all that. But when it comes to the economy, they don't know how to apply the intelligence services to come up with clever ways of reviving the economy, to make that economy work. They failed to do so. They don't have the proper strategists, the proper people, and is unable to make changes quickly. So, for example, this change I'm telling you about from 2 cents, so that 100, the biggest note you have in Zimbabwe, is worth 2 US cents. They would spend months before they make that change because he moves very, very slowly. He does not understand the need to move faster. And this is the problem that we're seeing. The economy in our country, very, very bad, very, very poorly run, and getting worse because there is a lot of impunity in the political circles of Zimbabwe. They do not understand that time is moving. It's moving very, very fast, and they need to make a change after the disputed elections. So this is where I'm going to end it today. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk about Sengezo Shabangu. He had a very, very long interview today, and I want to unpack what is happening there. But as I said, Nelson Chamisa, easily, he will come out on top in this situation. ZANU-PF is in a very, very tight fix, no matter what they try. And Chamisa is going to have a very, very big claim, especially with SADC. Dr. Fedes Mteneri gave an update this afternoon. You can go and watch that video. The CCC delegation is right there during this period when there's a discussion on the disputed election in Zimbabwe. And I know that President Hakainde Hichilema is on top of the situation. We are going to see a very, very interesting outcome from the SADC process. And it's happening right now. So by the end of the week, now we'll be knowing what's happening. So thank you very much, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow, and then we'll be back to our usual programming. Our websites are going to be stagnant for the next few weeks as we move to a new host. We need to keep moving because we keep getting hacked from different places. So we need to sort out our security. That's why you see that sometimes we constantly move around, but it's going to be sorted. We'll see. We'll be having a plan very, very soon on how to secure our websites even more better than we're doing right now. So thank you very much, everybody, and enjoy your evening. And obviously watch all the other stuff that's happening. I saw Taffy the Man has got a video out. So watch all the guys who are affiliated to Gambako Media. With a lot of stuff going on, and we'll be back tomorrow. Thank you very much and good night. Kuno, abo, pano, mamuona querer.